Hey, my friends, and welcome back to the Soul Podcasting Podcast. This is the space where soulful creators and CEOs come to grow their voice, expand their impact, and build influence through the power of podcasting. And I'm your host, Demetria Zinga, podcast strategist and coach, and founder of the Soul Podcasting Collective. And this is one of my short midweek episodes, very quick, actionable insights to help you podcast with more ease and clarity. Don't forget, my interviews, which are more longer form episodes, drop on weekends, and my longer solo episodes land midweek. So be sure to stay tuned for the full lineup. All right, so let's get into a hot topic that frustrates so many podcasters, and that's reviews. Have you been thinking of ways to get your podcast reviewed more often? You're putting out valuable content every single week, but the reviews are just not rolling in like you had hoped. And today I want to break down why you might not be getting podcast reviews, and more importantly, how to shift your strategy so your audience actually wants to leave reviews. So I have just 3 really short tips for you on this episode. So short show, and this should be something that hopefully you can walk away with and implement this right away on your podcast and see some changes in the near future. The first tip is that maybe you haven't made it easy for your listeners, or maybe you haven't made it obvious to them. The truth is that most listeners are not thinking about reviews unless you specifically tell them what to do. You have to be very clear that you want a review. So leaving a vague, please leave a review, just won't cut it. You have to say exactly where, how, and why. Instead of saying rate and review my show, you might try something like, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, just scroll down to the bottom of the show page, tap those stars, and leave a sentence or 2. It helps me so much. That's very simple. It's direct. There's no friction. And I think something that specific is clear and makes all the difference. Tip number 2, you might not be giving them a reason to leave a review. So yes, it helps you personally. People leave reviews when they feel that they're helping you, but also they want to feel personally impacted by the review. So every few episodes, you might try calling out specific listeners, and you can say, hey, if this episode helped you plan your podcast with more ease, I'd love to hear from you in a review, or whatever your show is about. That's what I would say in my podcast, because I have a podcast about podcasting. But maybe for you, whatever your situation is that your podcast is about, just kind of change things around and say, hey, if my episode helped you to get healthier, help you to think with more clarity regarding, your business or whatever your goal is on your show, right? Ask them for a specific review. And then you could also take some time to share reviews that you've already had. Now, this is something I used to do quite often on this show, and I haven't done it in a while, but this is something you could do. You could say, shout out to so-and-so for leaving a kind review. If you've been loving the show, I'd love for you to share your thoughts too, because it helps more soulful creators find us. So make the ask emotional and not just transactional. However, transactional can help sometimes as well. So there have been times that I've asked for reviews in exchange for a shout out on the show, or maybe there's an opportunity to enter a contest of some sort. So I'm going to take a moment right now, just based on the content I'm sharing with you, and I'm going to practice what I preach. And I'm going to share with you a recent review that I received for Soul Podcasting. All 5 stars, and it's from Entrepreneur's Enigma, and it says, I love this show. Demetria covers so many good topics in and around podcasting. It's a must listen. So Entrepreneur's Enigma, thank you so much for leaving this review. I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to leave a review for me, and to not just leave a 5-star review, but to actually take time to write out your thoughts about the show. And that means so much to me. So everyone, when you get a chance, check out entrepreneursenigma.com and their podcast. And I'm going to leave a link to his podcast on the show notes here so that you can check out what he's doing over there. So once again, I appreciate reviews. And when you leave your review and you leave your name and the name of your show or your business, I'm going to shout it out here on this podcast, because I want you to know how much I appreciate your taking time to listen to what we do here. So I realize that, you don't have to leave a review. I realize that no one has to take time to do that. And when they do, I try to show my appreciation somehow. So that's my way of giving back to you as well. All right, content tip number 3. You're not reminding people enough. You have to, as podcasters, remember to keep your ask top of mind and front and center. And as podcasters, we sometimes feel really awkward repeating ourselves. But the truth is that not everyone hears every single episode. You have to remember that you have new listeners coming in that didn't hear the first 50 of your shows. So you need to go back and remember some of the things that you used to share with your audience at the beginning of your podcast, and start doing that again if you've forgotten to. And remember that sometimes people don't go back into the archives and listen to the first 49, 50 episodes. So be sure to repeat yourself, even if it is repetitive. So be sure to go back, repeat things that you used to say that maybe you forgot to continue because you felt like you were repeating yourself too much, and go ahead and make it part of your routine for every show. Make asking for reviews a normal part of your outro or your mid-roll. You can rotate how you phrase it, but the frequency matters more than the perfection. Also, if you're on Spotify, remind people that they can just tap the stars at the top of the show page, even if they can't leave written reviews. So that way, no matter what platform they're on, there's a way for them to leave you a review. So if you've been feeling discouraged about your review count, know that it's not a reflection of your impact. It's just often a matter of making it easier and more personal and consistent. So that wraps up my tips for you today. And if you're looking for strategic support with your podcast growth, maybe audience engagement, streamlining your content, I offer done-for-you services and one-on-one strategy sessions. If you're looking for support in building that engagement around your show, as far as refining your growth strategy, in addition to podcast audio editing and video editing, our team would love to walk with you through this. So you can visit us at soulpodcasting.com to check out our services. You can book a clarity call or an introductory conversation with us. And there's no strings attached. It's just an opportunity for us to get to know each other and see if we're a good fit for each other. So I'll leave that link in the show notes, soulpodcasting.com. And I just encourage you to keep going and keep growing. And as always, keep podcasting with purpose and soul. Happy podcasting.